Hi there, it's Ken with Roguedeckbuilder.com here with spoiler season for Born of the Gods. So if you're one of those players that does not like surprises, that wants to have that opportunity to crack packs in Born of the Gods to see brand new cards, this video is probably not for you. For the rest of us who are highly anticipating the release of Born of the Gods and to see exactly what that will mean for brewing and decks in the upcoming months, I'm going to go ahead and spoil the cards. This is for January the 13th. We had a ton of spoilers this morning. 2 major articles on the Wizards website, so you can definitely go check that out at wizards.com. But anyway, so the first one, this is the mechanics are spoiled for Born of the Gods. And the first mechanic is, or the mechanics that are coming back are Heroic, Devotion, and the Bestow are definitely coming back. And Scry. So expect to see more of those cards. There's already been some speculation about Serum Visions being, since Serum Visions was not reprinted in Modern Masters, that it might have been saved for just this set. I would love Serum Visions to be, I think Serum Visions isn't too overpowered. It's not as powerful as Ponder or Preordain. So Serum Vision is pretty good. I think it's the perfect power level. It's a nice little blue cantrip. I don't think it will warp the format too much. I mean, it will make the blue decks more consistent, but at the same time, it will open up a lot of archetypes like the Nivik Cyclops deck will be amazing in, or Young Pyromancer slash Gutter Snipe will definitely be a brew that I think will be brewable. And so I'm hoping that we do get some cool Scry cards. But anyway, enough about the old mechanics here. Let's go back to the new mechanics, or let's take a look at the new mechanics. The first one is Inspired. And the Inspired ability is when it becomes untapped, it triggers off an ability. So, of course, let's hope for some sort of... We know that Springleaf Drum, and that's the reason why Springleaf Drum is going to be so amazing in this set, is it's a way to tap creatures to actually get their Inspired... I mean, so you don't have to tack into a opponent who has defenders out that will kill your Inspired dude. You have ways to actually tap your own Inspired guy, and then they can untap and gain that ability. So this is just an example. This one was spoiled today. It's a Araskos Sun Guide, and its Inspired ability is when it becomes untapped, you gain 2 life. It is not a bad sealed card whatsoever. I don't even know if this would be... Yeah, it's definitely draftable. It's a 2/2 bear. Bears have been really good in drafts since the beginning, and it's got a nice little ability to it that will help you in the life race. So you can get in there for 2, usually before they have an answer for it, and then untap it and gain 2 more life. So it's going to be a damage swing of a net total of 4 life. And I think it's pretty good. And of course, if you have other cards that can pump it up later on, we don't know. Maybe we'll see the actual cat tribe, the bee, get some love. But right now, I don't think it would see any play, of course, because there's just so much better 2-drops for standard. And especially this type not being human is a huge deal. So I'm thinking Inspired is going to be a really, really cool mechanic. Again, it's going to be ways to be abused with the Springleaf Drum. So definitely take a look at that. And I'm going to be spoiling a really good, well, it's already been spoiled. I'm going to show you a spoiled card that is awesome with Inspire. Let's go ahead and just show it here. It's Painseer. Painseer is what people are calling the new Bob, because it can draw you a card per turn and you lose life equal to its converted mana cost. And I already have a really, really cool interaction with this. Remember our old buddy Hidden Strings? Hidden Strings says, whenever you tap or when you cast Hidden Strings, tap or untap target permanent. Up to 2 target permanents. So it's 2 permanents you tap and untap. So Painseer is going to be insane with Hidden Strings. And so one of my videos about what I wanted to see in Born of the Gods is some heroic cards that, or actually some heroic enablers, but of course another creature in the blue-black heroic would be great, because then we wouldn't have to use like Rakdos Cackler. We can actually just use Painseer. So now I have Tormented Hero, Painseer, and then we have Agent of the Fates. And wow, oh wow, does Hidden Strings work very well with Painseer. It also makes it so we don't have to use the Triton Fortune Hunter, as this is going to give us a way to actually draw a card. So I'm loving Painseer. I'm loving the Hidden Strings interaction. You can do this on turn 3. You could attack in with Painseer, or actually what you need to do is, well, you'd cast the hidden strings to tap down your opponent's stuff or untap your lands, whatever you wanted to do. Then you would put it on the Painseer. You'd encode it onto the Painseer or cipher it on the Painseer, attack, and then you could untap the Painseer that turn, draw a card, get card advantage out of the Painseer, and maybe even enable off another heroic card. So there also is one more heroic. We might as well talk about the heroic one while we're in it. So let's go back to heroic. I think the one that's spoiled here is Ashiok's Adept. And this card, don't underestimate this card. Again, with hidden strings, it's pretty good. It says whenever you cast a spell, targets Ashiok Adept, each opponent discards a card. That's not too shabby. Again, if we could go into a more mono black heroic type ability, and that's pretty good, making your opponent discard a card. What's really cool about heroic is you can have instant speed discard a card. So if you're into late game and your opponent is in their draw step, you could even use like a Mesium skin on the Ashiok's Adept and then force your opponent to draw a card. What's really cool about the 3 toughness is one of black's prime removal spells, or if you're even into red, is like Freaka's Cure. You could actually Freaka's Cure your own Ashiok's Adept, do 2 damage to it, and then they'll have to discard a card, and you still gain 2 life. So, I mean, your removal spell can actually be used beneficially, as it will not kill your own Adept. So, be looking forward to that. That's really cool. I think Ashiok's Adept will be a nice little sideboard choice in the heroic deck, and definitely looking forward to brewing that UB heroic. I think that the deck is complete now. I think we already have enough, and then we haven't even seen. I'm sure they've got to, now that they've spoiled another heroic black card, they've got to give us a heroic enabler in black, because it's kind of pitiful, the ones that we have to work with. And you can go reference my old videos about what I've talked about UB heroic and what we need. So anyway, let's go back up here. So we've talked about the tribute, and we've also talked about the inspired. Or so we haven't done tribute yet. So let's go to tribute. Tribute's kind of cool, and I'm going to talk about the pre-release cards in another video and my thoughts on the pre-release cards. And of course, we don't have the entire set spoiled, but 3 of these packs in our pre-release are going to be, I think, I'll have to double check on this, but I'm thinking that 3 packs are going to be the Born of the Gods, and the other 3 pack will be Theros, or kind of a mix of the 2. So definitely we already have enough cards that we know are going to be in the pre-release to really know which cards, which color to choose. So I'll talk about that in another video. And one of the cards that is spoiled is Tribute in the pre-release cards, and we'll go over that. But anyway, so Tribute I've never really been a fan of giving your opponent options, but it's fine. It's a cool little mechanic. It'll make the game interesting. It'll definitely make your opponent make some decisions. But again, anytime you give your opponent a decision, it's always going to be the worst of the 2. So you have to keep that in mind. Some people look at a card and they think that like I remember when people were looking at like Browbeat, and here's a perfect example is, now that I can't think of the card name, the 4/3, when it comes into play, opponent can either pay 4 life and make you sacrifice it, or you get the 4/3. Why can't I think of that card's name? Anyway, everyone looked and like, wow, that's so amazing. It's really bad for your opponent. It's either a spike, a lava spike, or a 4/3, and you really have to understand that it's neither one of those. It's what your opponent wants it to be, not what you want to be. So I really didn't like that card in Standard, because every time I wanted a 4/3, they would just lava spike. It was like a built-in dismember, and every time I wanted a lava spike, I'd get a 4/3 that by then was outclassed. And so a lot of cards like Goblin Guide were just better because I knew exactly what I was getting. And this is how Tribute's going to be. It's going to be the worst of the 2 scenarios. This card's pretty fun though. You either get a 6/6 or a 5/5 for 5, which isn't too bad in limited. Or I don't know what scenario that anyone will ever have it deal 5 damage to them, but you can have it deal 5 damage. Because I mean, 2 counters is nothing late game, and on turn 5, a 5/5 versus a 3/3 is basically the same thing at that point. So I'm really thinking that the tribute on this guy will be very rarely used, but it's a cool mechanic. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some overpowered tributes where they're basically going to force your opponent to use the tribute. The thing about tribute too is your opponent sometimes, like I'll talk about it in the pre-release, your opponent, even if the tribute is beneficial to you, if your opponent doesn't have any targets for the tribute, then like the pre-release one says fight a creature. If they don't even have a target, they're gonna not give you the tribute, and then you don't get that trigger anyway to fight. So tribute definitely is not going to be, a lot of people are going to think this is so good right off the bat, but you always have to remember it's the worst of the 2 scenarios is what's going to happen. All right, so that's kind of cool though. The giant's actually great flavor, so you either have to make it bigger, feed it, or it's gonna, enrage and do 5 damage. All right, so let's go on to the Bestow. The Bestow, there's a ton of Bestow cards, so they call this Nyx and Bestow because these are supposedly the storyline behind Bestow is their cards coming down from the dream world, or whatever they call Nyx, the world of the gods, and something has kind of messed up the reality to where all these manifestations are coming down from Nyx. Anyway, so that's the whole thing behind Bestow. So far, we haven't had any Bestow. One of my complaints with Bestow from the last set is I don't think they made it powerful enough. It was kind of like I felt with Scavenge in Gatecrash, is they really made it too expensive to make it worth it. And I'm starting to think about the same with Bestow, with the exception of Boon Satyr. I think Boon Satyr was really well done, but some of them are just too expensive. Because a 3/2 or a 4/2 flash for 3 mana was great, and if you did need the option to bestow it, that was awesome. But there's a couple of Bestow cards you're looking like, wow, both of these are horrible. 1/1 for 1, or a 1/1 Death Touch for 1, or a 1/1 +1/+1 Death Touch enchantment for what was it, 4? And I mean that was basically the options. It was like worse than a regular creature of the same 1/1 Death Touch, and then worse of the enchantment version. And so there was really no benefit. I mean, you could cast either or, and I understand when that creature dies, it falls off and becomes a creature itself. But it's still, a lot of these Bestows didn't seem worth it. This one, however, this one's good. A 1/2 for 1, that's on par with other creatures that are 1/2 for 1, and then you could bestow it for 3. That enables heroic, or you could. I mean, first turn you can have a 1/2. Kind of wish this was a 2/1, but that'd probably be too overpowered. That'd be way too many 2/1s. Or you can cast it for 3 to make your other guys +1/+2. So not bad. I'm thinking this guy will be decent limited. It has a lower bestow cost, which is great because I think if this would have been in the first set, this would have been cost 4. So I think they've kind of adjusted the bestow. And hopefully we'll see some more powerful Bestow. I think there's some other ones here, down here too, they spoiled. Yeah, it's the Everflame Eidolon. This one's kind of cool. Again, the Bestow cost is quite low compared to other Bestows. Like I said, I think the lowest Bestow cost was 4 in Theros, and so now we've already seen 2 3s. And this one's not bad. A 1/1 that has Fire Breathing. That's to be great and limited. And also, if you need to put it on, it's an enchantment. Target creature gets +1/+1, and I mean, if you enchant it to a creature, it's not bad either. You give a guy Fire Breathing and +1/+1 for 3 mana, and then when it falls off, you still have another creature. So I really like this Everflame Eidolon. I think it'll be a bomb it'll be a nice consistent 2-drop or 3-drop in limited, and you never know. This guy, he probably won't see any sort of play in standard, but I mean, if it had haste, it would, but it will definitely see a lot of limited play. All right, so let's just go down to Devotion right here. They're bringing back Devotion, and there is multicolored Devotion in this set, so we'll get to that when we spoil the big cards. The Sky Reaping is one of them that they've spoiled. Now we've already in Theros there was only Devotion that was permanence. So now we actually have spells that have Devotion. So Sky Reaping is a great example of Devotion to green for a sorcery spell. So it deals damage equal to the number of green, Devotion to green, to each creature with flying. That has to be a nice addition to green. One of the problems with green is if they get swarmed by flying creatures. Like this will give you another way. It is sorcery speed, which is the only problem, but it's another way to get rid of those pesky Nightvale Specters, Judge's Familiars against mono blue. So it's a nice little board, one-sided board wipe that I can see hitting some sideboards. Plummet exists right now already for Desecration Demon. I think it'll be really hard to get this up to 6 damage for Desecration Demon, and also even 4 damage for the Dragon is going to be pretty it's not going to be a guaranteed. You're going to have Devotion 4. And the thing about Sorcery Speed too, in response to you casting this, they can kill some of your Devotion. Like, say it is against Desecration Demon, you've somehow managed 6 Devotion. In response, they can ultimate price your Arbor Colossus or whatever it is and kill it, and then your Devotion does not actually count for as much as it did. So that's really cool, though. It's an awesome... We finally have it spoiled that the mechanic Devotion is going to go to Sorcery. So that is awesome. Okay. And while we're on it, I guess, we'll spoil the big card right here. This is a Farah, God of the Pulse. We'll bring it up here in a bigger... picture here. So another indestructible god, and again I'm thinking there will probably be at least 3 gods in this one. I think it'll be each one of the temples. So we'll probably see the Mogus and we'll probably see the green-white one as well, and see which one that will be. But this one's pretty cool. It seems to me it's going to be really hard to... Devotion to white and blue is less than 7. So I need to actually look at this. So let's go back to the article and see how this works. So your devotion to white and blue is a total number of mana symbols are white or blue. Okay, so it just needs to be 7 total. So wow, cards like Asperia actually get really, really good. So hybrid mana symbols count towards both their colors but aren't counted twice. Okay, so it's not like, it's not going to be, you get 2 from the hybrid, it's just 1 total. So that's going to make like Boros Reckoner not as good in this case, because it's not both, it's just counts as 1. But cards like Asperia, Rakdos, all the guild leaders from Ravnica actually could see some play, especially like Lazov. That's just, or Lazov and Tristani are the ones that come to mind, because they are just 4 mana and will count towards 4 devotion towards these new gods. And you never know, they could actually see play. I don't think Asperia is powerful enough, but like Niv Mizzet might see play. There is some other, like, this is going to make like cards like Spike Jester a little bit better. All those like 1 black, like a black Annie red or whatnot. So definitely, I really think that it's going to be hard. Those 7 devotion to 7. I mean, 7's a very high number to get to, but your detention spheres are going to work for the Sephira and whatnot. So I could definitely see this being used as a finisher, but the only problem is with, in a control deck, you'll be wanting to throw out creatures every turn. What I really think this card works best in right now is Esper midrange as a way for them to draw cards, because they are going to be casting creatures each turn. And what's really cool about this is when it enters the battlefield, and you already have a creature that flashes out each turn, that flickers out each turn, which is the Opposite Ghost Council. So Opposite Ghost Council will work really well with Farah. I really do think that this will see some fringe play in Standard, if not some major play, because it is just, again, it's a way to draw cards. It isn't as powerful as whenever you cast a creature card, draw a card. That would be very overpowered. It's just going to get you 1, hopefully 1 per turn. It's going to be like a nice little Phyrexian Arena. But then again, if you do happen to get Devotion, it's a 6/5 indestructible god, not too shabby. Well, I highly doubt that scenario is going to happen too often, but we'll have to wait and see with the other gods. Like I said, Rakdos is really intriguing. If we have like a Mogus god, the Devotion to 7, Rakdos adds 4 right there. And then also with these gods too, is they already add 2 instead of just 1 like Thassa used to add. So you're already down to 5. So it's just 5 others. So Rakdos, you just need 1 more to make the Mogus god. I'm going off a limb and saying that Mogus is going to be the black-red god and have him active. So yeah, definitely look forward to these gods. This one is definitely a nice little card to brew around. Again, it's going to give you some tempo. It's going to give you some card draw, especially in the white-blue humans or the Esper midrange type decks. And I think this will see play. So I doubt this. We'll just put a little bit of a speculation on money wise. I don't think this is going to be more than like an $8 mythic. At first, I'm sure it's going to be insanely overpriced like everything else, but I think it will settle into the $6 to $8 range. And if it doesn't see any play, it will go down to $3 to $5. Definitely see this as long-term playable in commander decks and casual decks. So there's that. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. We talked about heroic, and the scries, we have 3 temples, and that's it. And I'm hoping, I really, 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 really want the blue red temple. I think it's the best one in the set, and maybe that's why they're leaving it for last, because most of the times blue-red don't have a first turn play, and they aren't too concerned. Like, Guildgates seem to see the most play in blue-red strategies from the get-go. I mean, Izzet Guildgate, I believe, is the most expensive Guildgate to begin with. Like, the foil Guildgate, I think Izzet Guildgate is the most expensive. So it's the one seeing the most play, and I definitely want the temple, the blue-red temple, as I've already got so much plans for a blue-red deck, and we're missing that temple. But we have the Temple of Enlightenment, the Temple of Malice, and the Temple of Plenty. These have been spoiled for quite a while. But now, last and not least, is the archetype. And this reminds me of when they... Is it like Glory? What was there were some cards that whenever they're in the graveyard, they did something like Genesis, but they did 1 per color. 1 gave haste, 1 gave trample, 1 gave like lifelink or whatnot if they were in the graveyard. Well, these are called archetypes. There'll be one per color, so I'm pretty sure we already know what they're going to be. This one, the Archetype of Imagination, this is going to be so good and limited. It's going to be limited bomb. Not going to see standard. There's no way you're going to invest 6 mana to make all your creatures unblockable, which is basically what it's doing. And this doesn't even actually make them unblockable against Reach. So Reach is still a thing. And again, so green will be good against this type of card. But a 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer, making all your other guys flying, which in a blue deck, a lot of things already have flying. It's a little bit lackluster. It's just way too expensive. So there's going to be one for each color. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be Lifelink for white or Vigilance. Actually, it's going to be Vigilance for white, I bet. And it's going to be Death Touch for black. It's going to be Trample for green, and it's going to be Haste for red. That's what I'm thinking. And maybe white could actually be First Strike, and maybe black could be Lifelink. You never know, but that's usually what they end up being. And they're probably all going to cost 6 mana. I bet white it will be First Strike because that makes more sense than the Vigilance, because losing First Strike is huge for your opponent, for all of your creatures gaining First Strike. And for green, Trample, though, is kind of meh. All the opponent's creatures lose Trample, you gain Trample. And Haste is cool, though, but it needs some way to make them enter the play. Tap 2 would be awesome. But overall, pretty good spoils. I'm liking it. We'll go over the pre-release cards in the next video. Let me know in your comments what you like, what you don't like about the spoilers. My favorite so far to brew around is going to be the new Bob, the heroic dude, this guy right here, this Painseer, because the Hidden Strings Painseer combination is going to be awesome. I'm just going to absolutely love playing it. So anyway, this has been Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com. Thanks for watching.